Wael Gonim, the internet activist whose activities sparked the 2011 revolution in Egypt, said that the power of the people is much stronger than the people in power.
Since you love to read, you will be free forever.
Terry Mante is a great person to get content and deep revelation with both biblical insight and socio-economic thought.
Terry is someone who is very dedicated and committed.
Terry is an incisive author.
Nobody becomes successful by using their weaknesses, and we have to be conscious about using our strengths to mitigate the impact of our weaknesses on our lives. Leadership is a sense, it's a certain mindset, it's a certain understanding, a certain paradigm that you have, which translates into influence, into making an impact, into having a positive impact on the lives of other people.
Terry is a terrific writer.
Terry's books are not only relevant for the development of potential and capacity, they are also essential for the refinement of ethics and character.
Everybody needs a Terry Mante book. Get them from reputable online stores and libraries. Connect with us by phone, email, or social media.
In November 2017, President Akufo-Addo of Ghana was asked by Al Jazeera about why homosexuality is still illegal in Ghana. And I captured the answer he gave in this book, When God Lost an Election, The Political Market of Demand and Supply. Let me read the answer my president gave, the president of Ghana gave. And I'm going to read it verbatim, read to you what he said verbatim. I don't believe that in Ghana so far, a sufficiently strong coalition has emerged which is having an impact on public opinion that will say, change it. Let's have a new paradigm in Ghana. I think that it is something that is bound to happen, like elsewhere in the world. Now let me skip parts of what he said. And he says that I grew up in England. I went to school as a young boy in England, and I grew up at the time when homosexuality was banned there. It was illegal, and I lived the period when British politicians, it was anathema to even dream of changing the law. And suddenly, activities of individuals and groups, a certain awareness, a certain development grew and grew stronger and forced a change in law. I believe that these are the same processes that will bring about the changes in our situation. And then the president continued and he said, at the moment, this is what I really want to emphasize today. At the moment, I don't see that in Ghana there is a strong current of opinion that is saying this is something that we need to even deal with. It is not so far a matter which is on the agenda, unquote. Essentially, the president implied that the only time Ghana will legalize homosexual relationships is when there is strong evidence that the people want it. Until then, it is not on the government's agenda because the people do not want it. The government can only have an agenda that they know the people crave for or the people want. If the practitioners and advocates of homosexuality eventually succeed to swing public opinion in their favor, then certainly homosexuality will be legalized in Ghana. The people get what they demand. When the will of the people is unequivocal, government cannot resist. Once there was a united group of people who spoke a single language, and they migrated to a land. And in this new land, they resolved to build a city with an iconic tower that would reach the heavens. The tower was named Babel, so we call it the Tower of Babel. Somehow, God didn't like it. He felt that what the people were trying to do was against his interests. It was a challenge to his authority as God. And this is God acknowledged and said that if as one people, this is what God said about the people's resolve to build a city with a tower. He said, if as one people speaking the same language, they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. And then he says, come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other. Unquote. God realized that if the people carried out their project, they would be successful because they were united and they had the language of unity. They spoke the same language. They were together. So God's approach to thwarting the people's efforts was to come down and confuse the language of the people so that they will not be united to be able to pursue the vision. That approach undermined a sufficiently strong coalition and a strong current of opinion that existed in the midst of the people. He admitted that because of the unity that prevailed among the people, nothing they planned to do will be impossible for them. The only way to stop them was to confuse their language. One of the things devious politicians enjoy doing most is to confuse the language of the people, the language of the masses or the electorate. If politicians are corrupt, they do everything possible to ensure that the people do not unite against corruption. If they benefit from the people's ignorance, they will seek to confuse the language of the people in regards to education. If the youth have an influential voice, politicians try to divide their fronts. Sometimes they infiltrate trade unions and professional associations to manipulate their leaders and divide their ranks so that workers may not get what they are due. If the people are able to mobilize themselves, set an agenda, and remain relentless, they will get what they want from their leaders. Democracy will work for us in Ghana and in Africa if we, the people, organize ourselves around our aspirations rather than around our candidates or parties. Our electoral choices must not be driven by blind loyalty to personalities and parties, but by firm conviction around principles and values that advance our progress and well-being. We must only support and vote for candidates and parties that propose policies which are in alignment with our collective interests. It's been my pleasure hanging out with you today. We have been talking about the language of unity. How as a people we need to be united and not allow politicians to divide our ranks on partisan, ethnic, tribal or religious lines just because they want to achieve their selfish ends. But if we are united, if we are together, then they will be pressured to do what is in our collective interest. Before I go, I want to recommend that you get a copy of this book, which is what I have had this discussion from. When God Lost an Election, The Political Market of Demand and Supply. This is a book that is available globally on all well-known, reputable online bookstores and libraries. You can get a copy for yourself, make sure you read it, and recommend to somebody else to also read it. This is Terry Mante. See you next time.
Once you love to read, you will be free forever.
Mante is a great person to get content and deep revelation with both biblical insight and socio-economic thought.
Terry is someone who is very dedicated and committed.
Terry is an incisive author.
Nobody becomes successful by using their weaknesses, and we have to be conscious about using our strengths to mitigate the impact of our weaknesses on our lives. Leadership is a sense, it's a certain mindset, it's a certain understanding, a certain paradigm that you have, which translates into influence, into making an impact, into having a positive impact on the lives of other people.
Terry is a terrific writer.
Terry's books are not only relevant for the development of potential and capacity, they are also essential for the refinement of ethics and character.
Everybody needs a Terry Mante book. Get them from reputable online stores and libraries. Connect with us by phone, email, or social media.